Hey, we're on the 8th day of July and still sipping our spiritual July juice. How can I be my best self? Is a question that I believe almost every one of us ask ourselves from time to time. We might not use the same words, but we might say it in different forms like, how can I be a breadwinner for my family? How can I fend for myself? How can I put my talents to use so that it serves not just me, my family, my community, the world, but God? The same way we ask questions as Christians, I want to make use of the gift that God has given me to glorify His name. How can I do that? How can I grow spiritually, right? How can I grow from faith to faith? And so God has given us some commands which I believe if we obey and follow will help us a lot in our spiritual growth. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 16 to 18 says, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and give thanks in all circumstances." This sounds so easy and beautiful, but if God has given us this command, then it means that He has given us the enablement to obey them. Let's look at them one by one. Rejoice always. Wow. This is not a joy that is of our own making. It is a joy that comes from God through Jesus. And it doesn't mean to have extended or expanded cheeks all day, everywhere we go. No, it is having a knowing that we have a Savior that has overcome the world. And this knowing gives us strength to live through each situation day by day. I think about Paul, who wrote the letter to the Philippians while he was in prison. The book of Philippians is said to be a book of joy. He wrote to encourage the Philippians to be joyful in the midst of their circumstances. And that tells me that joy is not all about how the situation is around us, but about a state of mind. Sitting in the knowing that Christ has overcome the world will help us in our spiritual growth and growing from faith to faith. And then to pray without ceasing. That just tells us that we cannot do without prayer. Prayer keeps us in constant communication with God and puts us in perspective. Some people think that prayer is a foolish thing to do, yet the Bible tells us to pray without ceasing. Prayerlessness is dangerous for a Christian and a hindrance to our spiritual growth. Jesus in His earthly ministry prayed to God all the time. And all the time does not mean every second of every day, but it just means consistency in our relationship with God. And the next one says to give God thanks at all times. That used to baffle me because I never used to understand how God wanted me to give Him thanks when I'm going through challenging times. But then I came to understand that it's not about giving Him thanks for that problem, but giving Him thanks for using that problem as a gateway to fulfilling His purpose. God's ways are not our ways. Think about how He purposed to change us from sinners to saints is an incredible tale of triumph. And so if He says that He's going to work all things out for our good, we've got to trust Him because He's done it before. He's changed us from sinner to saint. We are now called righteous. And so He can do any other thing He has promised us to do. If we can just obey Him to stay joyful, stay thankful, and stay prayerful, then He will work in us to perform His good work. So when we are enmeshed in the net of the sea of life, these three instructions will keep us breathing and floating. Have a happy July.